Broadcasting from the Civic Cypher Studios, welcome to the QR Code, where we share perspective, seek understanding, and shape outcomes. The man you are about to hear from is a man who always asks for gummy bears instead of donuts, but he never gets mad at me when I show up with donuts anyway. He is the Q in the QR Code. He goes by the name of Q Ward.
The voice that you just heard is pretty infuriating. Because you could just not ask if I want anything and bring what you want. To ask what I want, I tell you, and then you bring donuts anyway. It's like, son, like you could just donut run and come back with donuts. Instead, you like, you want something? I'm like, yeah, some gummies. And you like, yeah, so I got you a donut. But he's the R in the QR code. His name is Ramses Ja.
And we need you to stick around. A little later on the show, we're going to be talking about something that we like seeing, something that we like watching the culture evolve. We like the positive direction that it's going in our culture, hip hop culture. Kendrick Lamar, he's on an extended victory lap, and I just got some new information, and I'm so proud of him and so excited of what's to come. So that's a little later on in the show. Prior to that, we're going to hear from Q Ward, his clapback, discussing how the president rewards loyalty over merit. The real DEI, right? Or the real, what is it? They didn't earn it, DEI. Okay. Before we break, we're going to be talking about a story where a Charlie Kirk supporter ended up killing two teenage girls for mocking his death. It's a very sad story that unfortunately shows sort of where we are as a country and how divided we are, and where the violence is coming from. And we're going to start off talking about what's going on in the culture. President Donald Trump has managed to make free speech illegal. Scary times. But as always, on the show, we like to start off with a feel-good feature. And today's feel-good feature comes from the Oregonian. You can check this out at OregonLive.com. Oregon's top military leader offered some reassuring or infuriating, depending on one's political perspective, comments about the role of National Guard soldiers during a proposed federal troop deployment to Portland. Speaking before a state Senate subcommittee, Brigadier General Alan R. Gronwald told legislators that before deployment, the two companies of soldiers would be trained in protective crowd control. That training is now up in the air as Governor Tina Kotek on Tuesday ordered troops to go home after a federal judge ruled over the weekend that Trump had no authority to call them up. Gronwald said Guard soldiers serve two purposes, quote, one, to defend America, and two, to protect Oregonians. And so by serving in this mission, they will be protecting any protesters at the ICE facility, unquote. A federal judge paused President Donald Trump's mobilization on Saturday and expanded her order Sunday to block units of the Guard from any state after Trump said he would muster troops from California and Texas. The administration has now appealed the ruling to the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which has set a hearing on the matter for Thursday. There is no definite timeline for the appellate court to issue a ruling. Gronwald, for his part, noted that the president's federalization meant the soldiers would be taken out of his chain of command and placed under the control of the U.S. Northern Command. He said Trump's social media post authorizing full force by the soldiers was unclear, as the term is not a doctrinal term that the Army uses. Gronwald closed out his remarks by asking lawmakers to spread a message about the difference between local troops and federal law enforcement agencies. So somebody standing up for Oregonians and their right to protest, and somebody doing the job that they swore to do, which is uphold the Constitution, not follow lock and step with whatever the president wants, and obeying his whims. So, yeah, we like what's going on in Oregon right now and Chicago. So y'all keep going.
Praying that that's a trend and not an outlier.
Absolutely. Okay. So, that might have sounded a bit alarming in the tease, talking about how Donald Trump has managed to make free speech illegal. Things aren't as straightforward as, all right, free speech is illegal. The laws are changed. We're doing it this way. And I think that a lot of people are expecting it to be like that, or else they will say that we're exaggerating. But as unsophisticated as this administration is, legally, Donald Trump's personal legal sophistication is astounding. It's not based in intentionality. It's based in loopholes, and it's based in exaggerations, and it's based in, cronyism, and it's based in all that sort of stuff. But he finds a way for these things to be legal. And so legally, he has managed to make free speech illegal. I'll explain. So just listen for it, because, these people end up talking out of both sides of their mouth. They'll tell you on the one hand, free speech is absolutely legal while making it illegal. So follow me here. This is from USA Today. President Donald Trump on October 8th said his administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away, unquote, as it relates to flag burnings, an activity that the Supreme Court has ruled is protected under the First Amendment. Quote, we took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn the flag, it agitates and irritates crowds, unquote. Trump said during a roundtable discussion on Antifa. He goes on to say, I've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots, unquote. Trump made the comment after referencing conservative influencer Nick Sorter, who reported being attacked after attempting to stop a flag burning at a protest, according to Oregon Live. Trump also referenced an August 25th executive order that directed his administration to prosecute people who burn American flags. The order describes the flag as the country's most sacred and cherished symbol, and said its desecration is uniquely offensive and provocative. The U.S. Supreme Court established that flag burning is protected speech in a 1989 case involving Gregory Lee Johnson, who burned the flag while protesting then President Ronald Reagan's administration. The court found that First Amendment rights are not limited to verbal or written speech. While the ruling said states may seek to prevent imminent lawless action, it added that actions such as Johnson's are and should be a protected right. Sorry, I can't read today. Trump reiterated his position that flag burning isn't protected speech during the roundtable, saying, quote, when you burn an American flag, you incite tremendous violence, unquote. White House spokesperson Abigail Johnson told USA Today Trump, quote, will always protect the First Amendment while simultaneously implementing common sense, tough on crime policies to prevent violence and chaos, unquote. Okay, so real quick, before we go any further. So what they're doing is criminalizing flag burning because of an executive order, okay, that was already protected by the Supreme Court as free speech. Then redefining the burning of the flag from an expression of free speech to inciting of a riot. Now, whether or not that's true, if he changes the narrative around that action, to where you are attempting to incite a riot rather than expressing your, Supreme Court given rights to free speech, now they can come after you. In other words, your free speech has been, your free speech is, what is the word I'm looking for? De facto. It's like a de facto illegal form of expression now because of Donald Trump kind of reframing this. And then, of course, they want to say that they're protecting free speech. And what they end up doing is speaking out of both sides of their mouth, as I mentioned. Now, I want to share one more thing. And then, Q, I want to let you weigh in here. I'm going to share the entirety of the flag code in terms of the respect for the flag section. It's section 8 for the American Flag Code. You can check this out at AmericanLegion.org. And what they say is that this is about protecting the flag and protecting our sacred, what do you call it? Sacred symbol of America or something like that. So I want you to count how many ways Donald Trump and his cronies disrespect the flag. All right, first off, this again, respect for the flag from the AmericanLegion.org if you want to check it out. No disrespect should be shown to the flag of the United States of America. The flag should not be dipped to any person or thing. Regimental colors, state flags, and organizations or institutional flags are to be dipped as a mark of honor. A, the flag should never be displayed with the Union down except as a signal of dire distress in instances of extreme danger to life or property. B, the flag should never touch anything beneath it, such as the ground, the floor, water, or merchandise. C, the flag should never be carried flat or horizontally, but always aloft and free. So whenever you watch a Super Bowl, watch them carry the flag out flat. That is disrespecting the flag per the flag code. Okay, let's go on. D, the flag should never be used as wearing apparel bedding, or drapery. It should never be festooned, drawn back, nor up in folds, but always allowed to fall free. Okay, how many of those folks you see wearing the flag? All right, let's move on. Bunting of blue, white, and red, always arranged with the blue above, the white in the middle, and the red below, should be used for covering a speaker's desk, draping the front of the platform, and for decoration in general. E, the flag should never be fastened, displayed, used, or stored in such a manner as to permit it to be easily torn, soiled, or damaged in any way. This means adding a flag to your car, unless the ends are embroidered, because it will get frayed. So that's disrespecting the flag. All you people that ride around with the flag on your car. It's per the flag code. All right. F, the flag should never be used as a covering for a ceiling. G, the flag should never have placed upon it, nor any part of it, nor attached to it, any mark, insignia, letter, word, figure, design, picture, or drawing of any nature. That means do not alter the flag. The flag should never be used as a receptacle for receiving, holding, carrying, or delivering anything. The flag should never be used for advertising purposes in any manner whatsoever. It should not be embroidered on such articles as cushions or handkerchiefs and the like, printed or otherwise impressed on paper, napkin, or boxes, or anything that is designed for temporary use and discard. Advertising signs should not be fastened to a staff or halyard from which the flag is flown. J, no part of the flag should ever be used as a costume or athletic uniform. However, a flag patch may be affixed to the uniform of military personnel, firemen, policemen, and members of patriotic organizations. The flag represents a living country and is itself considered a living thing. Therefore, the lapel flag pin, being a replica, should be worn on the left lapel near the heart. K, the flag, when it is in such condition that it is no longer a fitting emblem for display, should be destroyed in a dignified way, preferably by burning. All right, Q, the rest of the time is yours.
There's an interesting thing here. One thing I want to call out, you said that freedom of speech was a Supreme Court given, and that's not true.
Enforced.
Give us anything.
Yeah, the Constitution did. Yeah, that's fair.
The Supreme Court ruled to protect this right that was supposed to be inalienable. Mm-hmm. But here we are. The interesting thing about you saying they talk out of both sides of their mouth is that they're saying, we're not implying, they're saying we took freedom of speech away. Mm-hmm. That's their intention. That's what they're bragging about. That's what they're claiming. That's what they are stating, that they took away free speech. So I don't want people to think that this is something that we implied or misunderstood or was taken out of context.
No, he said it, yeah.
Give it all the context you want. Taking away free speech was the whole thing. And finding a way to justify it is how they do with everything. They count on their base to be blindly loyal and undereducated. They play in their faces in a way that should be insulting, but they're so loyal to the guy, they don't even recognize when they're being insulted, nor do they care. There's not a lot more to say, like the American Legion breaking it down that way, and you hearing like there wasn't enough time for you to, after each thing, say this is what they do to disrespect,
to violate it, yeah,
letter, or to violate it. But anyone listening could hear and see in their head all the ways that they defy the flag code. We will always protect the First Amendment, while starting this with saying, we're taking it away. It's a very, very interesting thing that they do.
Yeah. Well, now you know. All right, moving on. Opinions. Charlie Kirk supporter kills 2 teens for mocking his death. This one is kind of sad, so buckle up. All right. This is a well-covered story, but we sourced this from a radio station in New Jersey. That would be 101.5. You can check this out at nj1015.com if you like. Just like how it was written here, because I think it tells the story briefly and fully. So on September 29th, Cranford High School juniors Maria Neotis and Isabella Salas were struck and killed by a Jeep traveling 70 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour residential street. Prosecutors say the driver, a 17-year-old Garwood boy, deliberately targeted the girls as they rode their e-bike. What first appeared to be another e-bike tragedy has since revealed chilling allegations of stalking and harassment. The suspect, whose name is being withheld because he is a juvenile, faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, according to Union County Prosecutor William Daniel. He was initially detained, questioned, and released pending an investigation, then arrested October 1st. Officials have not said whether he is currently being held or released to juvenile custody. At first, the case appeared to be another in a series of recent deaths involving teens on e-bikes, but friends and neighbors told a different story to the media. Neighbors told ABC7 Eyewitness News that one of the girls had a restraining order against the driver after he harassed her at school, and that he often sat in his vehicle outside her home. Maria Notice's uncle was blunt about it on his Facebook page, stating that the driver followed her home from school every day. He said the police did nothing about it, despite being told many times. This same site, I want to give them credit, New Jersey 101.5 or NJ1015.com. They have a follow-up article talking about the funeral. It says, days before mowing down 2 17-year-olds on the street, the accused teen killer revealed on a YouTube live stream that he had been tormenting one of his teen victims, in part, he says, because she laughed at the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The 17-year-old suspect from Garwood, a son of a retired police officer and the nephew of the Westfield police chief, was charged Wednesday with the first-degree murders of Maria Niotis and Isabella Salas. Relatives of Niotis said the teen had been stalking her for months, something the teen suspect acknowledged on live streams of his MLB co-op games, which attracted thousands of followers on TikTok. The teen suspect rammed the girl's e-bike with his Jeep, which police believe was traveling 70 miles per hour on a 25-mile-per-hour residential street on Monday. The first thing that jumps out to me here is when Charlie Kirk was first assassinated, a lot of the Trump's inner circle, they went on and they tried to paint the radical left as the source for the source of Charlie Kirk's death. They were saying, hey, you can't call people Nazis and so forth using these big platforms and not expect it to agitate your base to take action to commit these sorts of acts, right? And they were quick to try to say that it was because of the incendiary nature of speech coming from the left that Charlie Kirk's assassination took place. That take and position is entirely devoid of responsibility from them, and it lacks responsibility for Charlie Kirk's own actions. Charlie Kirk did what he did, said what he said, and people that said, hey, he did this and said this, and this is reminiscent of issues from yesteryear that we as a species have dealt with, to suggest that the people calling that out are problematic instead of what Charlie Kirk was saying and doing was problematic, again, is tone deaf. But I think that this story shows exactly what the truth of the matter is that the violence comes from that side. It just does. Now, we've done a number of shows in recent weeks, certainly since his assassination, where we've actually tried to get into the weeds to figure out if what these people on the right were saying had any basis in truth whatsoever. And the data just does not suggest that. And the facts do not suggest that. This is overwhelmingly a problem with the right. The right has all the guns. The right has all the weird, chat rooms on the internet. The right has all the, well, not all of it, but a huge amount of the radicalization. We did an episode yesterday talking about how there's a lot of sexual deviancy. I don't want to talk about it anymore because it was really gross, but there's a lot of problems over there, and there's just this intentional blindness to it. And they try to paint people with a more progressive philosophy and more inclusive ideas about what this country should be as somehow poisonous to this country, ignoring their own responsibility, ignoring what their ideas tend to breed in these circles. And here we have two girls who are dead. They don't even get to tell their side of the story. They don't even get to say whether or not they even laughed at Charlie Kirk, because we don't know that. We're just taking this from the article. We don't get to talk to these little girls because they didn't get to grow up. They buried him. And this is a Charlie Kirk supporter who is the son of a police officer and related to the police chief, this article says. And this is the sort of people that get to commit this type of violence, and they have the shielding and the narrative of the right insulating them from a modicum of responsibility. And this is a sad state of affairs. And I think that this lays bare exactly where we are. And the fact that they're not willing to take responsibility of it, I think the death of these two little girls is on the hands of those people on the right who are insulating these people committing these acts of verbal violence and now real world violence. Anything to add here, Q?
You know, there's an interesting thing that happens with these stories. Two innocent young women were killed, and we're going to read op-eds and, publish stories and think pieces about all the things that were stacked against this young man. All the reasons we should feel sorry for him, how rough of a time he was having at it. Even though he stalked, harassed, and tormented these young women, even though it was documented, reports were made, he did this on live, essentially, to, followers or fans of his as he played video games, bragged about how he tormented this young lady, one of these young ladies, even if they laughed. Sure, we don't get to hear it from them or proof whether or not they did it, but even if they did, if you don't think that Charlie Kirk deserved to have his life taken for the actual hateful, divisive rhetoric that he spewed, then how do you then justify taking the life of these young ladies because they disagreed with you or because they laughed? The hypocrisy, the continuous, blatant, perpetual hypocrisy, the lack of accountability, the turning a blind eye to all of these things that we see happening over and over again. They will explain to us why we should feel sorry for this young man. And if he's the nephew of a police chief and the son of a police officer, you better believe that they're going to be as lenient as possible with this young man. Even though he's being accused of taking the lives of two people, the same people that told us that teenagers in DC should start being tried as adults, as teenagers, I think as young as 14, will tell us how this young man isn't old enough to understand the gravity of his decision and tell us all the reasons why he should have mercy and benefit of the doubt provided for him, the same way really every teenager should. But every accusation is a confession. And everything is for me, not for thee. So we're going to hear about all the things stacked against this young man and the pressures and the mental instability and everything that he was going through. And we're going to take away the humanity and the deserved life of these two young ladies who are gone and what their families have to deal with in the wake of their death from this troubled young man with clear right-wing influence. It's pretty gross.